So let us start off with the first question. When we talk about seat one, like other cities, what area does that cover?
Okay, great question. And one of the most important questions when I'm out there knocking on doors or campaigning, that people ask, they don't know that if you're elected commissioner in Miramar, you're actually elected the commissioner of the whole city. Some cities in Broward County have districts. Our neighbors in Pembroke Pines, if you run in a certain district where you live and you have a section of the city that you oversee, and then that's how those cities run their cities. In Miramar, we have a very long city, not very wide, but it's very long. It's 12 miles from State Road 7 all the way out to where I live in Sunset Lakes.
Right.
And if you're elected for either seat 1, 2, 3, or 4, or the mayor, you are the mayor or the commissioner for the entire city. A lot of people have said to me they did not know that, and they would like to see that changed in the future.
Because you know what is interesting about that? The fact that when you run for the entire city, the election can be very competitive. Very competitive because of the fact it's the entire city people got the choice of voting.
Correct.
As well as when you run for a certain district, you can just concentrate on that district.
Absolutely.
So it
correct.
makes the running for the position easier. But it, on the other hand, it makes the job more difficult because you gotta look at managing areas of responsibilities for the entire city as opposed to a little district. So it's a very challenging position, huh?
Yes, and there's different needs.
Yeah.
From the historical east side of Miramar to the central to the west. So if you had elected officials that were living in that district, they could oversee and be the champion of causes inside of that district. Now, of course, if I'm elected, or when I'm elected, Shaikh, you'll do everything you can to represent and help everybody in Miramar, and that'll obviously be my goal. But if we had districts similar to Pembroke Pines, I think that those folks that represent the districts and their folks that live in those areas, I think it's more effective.
Of course.
So the other thing that people, as I'm out there knocking on doors and I'm talking to people about the election coming up, and they look at me and go, "Coming up? We just had an election in November." They don't even realize that we have our Miramar City elections in March.
That's important. What date in March?
It's March 9th. It's a Tuesday. So it's fascinating to see people's faces when they see me. What's this guy doing? I'm not going to passing out my information, trying to talk to them, see what their concerns are. And a lot of folks don't even know that we have our elections this time of year, where a lot of cities have theirs during the presidential election. So there's two things. You have great voter turnout because people are going out for other initiatives or voting for other
Right,
things.
so they might as well drop their ballot for you one time.
Correct. And they also, it costs the city money to set up these elections. There's only a handful of cities in Broward. I think there might be 6 or 7 out of about 30 cities that actually have their elections in March. It's costing the cities to set up all these precincts and have poll workers and all what they have to do. So it's an expense that it's costing.
So is that something you may be looking at?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Adjusting
everything's
when you
on
get
the
into
yes.
position?
Now listen, these policies of districts or not districts, or when we have our elections, have been in the city charters for a long, long time. It's a process.
Right,
But
right.
it's something that I'm just speaking for the people I talk to. Those have been two things. Why don't we have districts? And also, why do we have our elections in March?